Walk off the Jays in a series. They did it yesterday. We'll find out what happens today. The broadcast starts now.
Let's go!
A little overcast for the finale here in Toronto. Good thing they have a roof at Rogers Center. That's where we find ourselves at the Athletics and the Blue Jays square off in a rubber match. We welcome you to the broadcast booth. Glad you're along with us. Jenny Kavnar, Dallas Braden. How about a 1-0 victory? All it took was a Brent Rooker home run yesterday. The offense doesn't matter when you have really good pitching performances, and that's exactly what the Oakland A's got yesterday.
Well, Jenny, we have a starting rotation full of guys who are incrementally taking steps forward, and I think Osvaldo Bido has got to be a guy at the top of the list who has continued to make great strides. What you got yesterday, 6 shutout innings of outstanding baseball from Osvaldo Bido, and not only the starting effort, but the bullpen, Jenny, continues to be able to click, and anytime you can turn the ball over to Mason Miller with a lead, you got a pretty good chance to win that ball game, and you can see there's a lot of folks impressed with Mason, including that Toronto Blue Jay lineup.
Well, the first 2 games have featured some great pitching duels. We expect one again today with the workhorses on the bump. It'll be Chris Bassett for Toronto. But how about J.P. Sears, Dallas? The job that he has done. You look at his last couple starts, he's been rolling.
Set the tone. That's what you want to do. That's what J.P. Sears has done, frankly, all season long. And what you've gotten out of J.P. the last 2 starts is everything you want out of a guy who is looking to do just that. Set the tone. 14 innings, that's 7 a pop over his last 2 starts. And against some pretty good lineups over there in the San Francisco Giants. And unfortunately, a struggling White Sox team was exposed by J.P. Sears and his ability to command the baseball all evening long. On the other side of that pitching matchup will be a familiar friend and now a foe in Chris Bassett. 5 career starts against the green and gold, and the dude has been dialed in. Undefeated, 2-0 on that win-loss record. ERA 2.31 and very limited traffic, a sub-1 whip for the big right-hander. And Jenny, he has got a bevy, a buffet of offerings for this lineup to have to deal with.
Both Bassett and Sears sitting on 9 wins this season. What will give this Sunday in Toronto? A little lineup shakeup as well for the A's. We'll get you started next with lineups. First pitch when we return.
A's Baseball on NBC Sports California is brought to you by Toyota, class-leading MPG, and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places. And by Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Full service, total trust.
Chance to win a series. That's where the Oakland A's have been since All-Star break, and every series they've competed against, and trying to leave Canada with a series victory before they head on to New York. It's a great day to be an Oakland A down there in the dugout. They're having some fun, and we'll get you a lineup shakeup here in just a few minutes. Today's game time weather is brought to you by Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and as you look at it, 68 degrees, some thunderstorms outside, but the roof rocking inside. So you see that humidity hits 72%. Don't worry about the wind. I haven't felt one breeze up here yet.
All good with the roof closed. See if that has any effect on the way the baseball will travel. I know we sort of touched on it with some of the renovations, and obviously with the lack of wind indoors, that could affect ball flight.
We see Don Mattingly, the bench coach, John Schneider, the manager for the Toronto Blue Jays here this Sunday. Getting ready to roll, and you mentioned it. We'll see how the ball affects or changes. The Oakland A's offense only able to muster up 1 run in each of the 2 games so far here this afternoon coming into this game. See if they can't get more than one run. But again, yesterday, 1 run's all you needed in a 1-0 shutout.
Well, and let's see if this offense against a guy who they know a lot about, a guy who has had good success against them in his career, and that's Chris Bassitt. But Jenny, we've sort of highlighted the fact that Chris Bassitt has a lot of different pitches that he will throw any given time, and you can see getting set to take the field as he starts to fidget with pitch calm, stretch out the forearm, couple deep breaths, and Bass will be ready to rock.
Former Oakland A going against this lineup for the current Oakland A's squad. Lawrence Butler leads the gang off, and he is back atop the lineup today once again for Mark Kotze. Behind him, how about this? Brent Rooker in the 2-hole. Why not? Get him as many at-bats as you possibly can. 29 homers on the season now for the DH. JJ Vladale hit third. Seth Brown in the lineup. Proud new papa. They welcome their second baby boy. Abraham Toro behind him. Zach Geloff. Kyle McCann doing the catching with Daz Cameron in the lineup, as well as Max Schumann. So a Sunday starting 9 for you.
Well, it's going to be that starting 9 against Chris Bassitt. 24th start for the veteran right-hander. Jenny, we'll dive into some of the numbers for Chris Bassitt. Maybe not the career year that Chris Bassitt would like to have, but I think all in all, still doing a very good job of, as we've talked about with JP Sears, setting the tone. We'll see if Chris Bassitt is able to dip back into that pool of success that he's been swimming in against the green and gold. In time now for StatCast, powered by Google Cloud, going to give us a peek inside the toolbox of Chris Bassitt. He's got about 36 different pitches. Pick your poison, really. Sinker, cutter, curveball, sweeper, changeup, splitter, slider, and the four-seam fastball.
That's it?
That's all. You talk to Seabass, and he'll tell you, you know, it might be 4 or 5 at any given time during any given ball game, but really it's going to be about which 4 or 5 based on his scouting reports, how things match up, strengths and weaknesses, things that work well for him. So this is a guy, Jenny, we have seen switch from the rotation, or excuse me, switch from the windup to the stretch, really in just a matter of pitches if he's not feeling right.
Good student of the game, knows his opponents very well, and here's the defense that he has working behind him today. Luis De Los Santos at the hot corner, just his 3rd major league start. First time he's playing here in Toronto. Ernie Clement is moving to shortstop. Leo Jimenez at second base this afternoon. And then it's Spencer Horwitz at first. Alejandro Kirk behind the dish. And in the outfield left to right, Davis Schneider, Dalton Varsho, and George Springer. Well, if you're wondering at home where number 27 is, one of the best players in the game right now, don't worry. He's DHing, of course. We're talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. not playing in the field today. Working on that 22-game hit streak, and hopefully the Oakland A's can put a stop to it, perhaps just minimize it. They've been able to do that so far here in the 2-game set. There's a look at Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Trying to keep him in the ballpark.
And a strike call to Lawrence Butler. So Bassitt begins with the sinker. One of those 3 varieties of the fastball that he shows, primarily a fastball pitcher, but Dallas, you highlighted the entire toolbox and some.
Well, and right now he's 2 for 2 in terms of strikes. That's the curveball. The sinker is the predominant fastball that you're going to get, and you can see Chris Bassitt is the one that's on the 1s and 2s today. He's the one calling pitches.
Lawrence Butler out towards right field, and that's going to land fair on the line. Lawrence Butler heading for extra bases as his helmet flies off, and an easy stand-up double to lead off the game for Butler.
Law Dog with a leadoff dub sack. You gotta love that. I think right now this is just mislocation here. Chris Bassitt trying to run a cutter under the hands of Lawrence Butler, who just opens up, gets the barrel through quickly. That ball rattling around a bit. He's able to ease into second nicely. Now got to see if this Oakland offense can get the big hit.
Of course, Brent Rooker swinging at the first pitch. We see him do that quite a bit. He has a huge success rate of getting that ball in play, but fouls it off here. And this will be the interesting part of the change. Put the pressure on early. A runner in scoring position against Chris Bassitt. With the toughest hitter in the lineup, hitting second today.
Well, it's been a problem for the Athletics. 5 for 49 over the last 10.
Brent Rooker right back at the pitcher. It kicks off his foot, and the ball goes over the head of the pitcher as Horowitz was trying to get it in there, and that'll be a score for Oakland. Lawrence Butler coming home, and it's a 1-0 ball game.
Well, the A's catch a break here. That liner off the foot of Chris Bassitt. Looks like Schneider and the trainer are going to come out, and Chris Bassitt's waving him off. Says, I feel fine. Looks like it caught the upper part of that right ankle. And then Horowitz trying to make a play, trying to make something happen, ends up shoveling that ball over the head of Chris Bassitt. And that allows the Law Dog to come around and score. A's up early here. That'll go base hit E3 for Brent Rooker.
That'll bring up J.J. Bleday. Some history against Chris Bassitt. 2 for 8 with a homer. Well, it paid off to move Brent Rooker up. Probably not how you drew it up. Maybe thought he might get that home run with a runner on base.
Well, they're 0 for 9 this series with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 4 against Bassitt in their last matchup with runners in scoring position. So to be able to get that out of the way here early, get on the board early against a guy who has dominated you is a really good thing.
I mentioned that last outing for Bassitt back in June. 8 solid innings at the Coliseum, a place he was very familiar with pitching. And J.J. Bleday towards right field. The ball is gonna leave the ballpark. A 2-run homer for J.J. Bleday and a 3-0 game. Three batters up, 3 runs in. Gotta love the feels on a Sunday.
Well, nothing like jumping on a guy early here. Chris Bassitt down 3, still nobody out. That's a barrel for JJ. Bombs away for JJ Bleday, baby.
Number 14 on the season for JJ, and that's 151 for the Athletics this season.
Oh, just a sinker thrown right onto the barrel of Bleday.
Always love when we get that dugout shot. It's Brent Rooker, and he's just talking about what he saw and what he's seeing. And, you know, even Mark Kotze brought that up today with some of this young crew. Brent Rooker has such a great individualized approach at the plate, but you always see him also passing on information that can be helpful. And I'm not sure anyone was necessarily listening there specifically, but he was talking about it, and I think that's awesome. And Seth Brown's gonna head down after getting hit by a pitch, so things are not looking great for Chris Bassitt here in the first inning.
Yeah, bit of a struggle right now. Kirk gonna come out and try to settle things down. See, it's a cutter that just catches Seth Brown right on that elbow. Good thing Brownie's wearing a weenus guard.
I'll bring up Abraham Toro, the switch hitter, and let's take a look at the umpiring crew today. Andy Fletcher, the crew chief, behind the plate calling balls and strikes. Jansen Visconti at first. Mike Malinsky has moved to second, and John Bacon over at third base. Pitch outside to Abraham Toro. I mean, you know Chris Bassitt well. You've seen a lot of his starts, a lot of his outings. What are you seeing through just a couple of batters here?
Well, right now it's just been mislocation, and then unfortunately the error.
Squared around a bunt, and it's foul for Toro.
Things have just sort of snowballed very quickly here. The leadoff double, and then as I mentioned, Jenny, you got Brent Rooker who hits a missile off his ankle, and then the error from Horowitz trying to make something happen. And then I think when you have something like that unfold quickly, you're reminded, hey, I still have to compete, I still have to attack. You try to get ahead of J.J. Bleday after first couple runners reach base, and he greets you very abruptly.
That's That's also going to be fouled.
You know, and what we saw from Toro early in this at bat was something I was actually wondering if we were going to see. But I think in a moment here where you've been able to push 3 across against Chris Bassitt early, the idea of trying to just create productive outs and maybe tack another one on here. So for Toro, how do we get Seth Brown to second base?
There's the 1-2, and that's going to be strike 3. So Toro will head back to the dugout. The sinker caught him looking, and it's 1 for Chris Bassitt.
Take a look at some of the tendencies of our man behind the dish this afternoon. Andy Fletcher calls a tight zone. Not a lot of love at the top of the strike zone. As a minor league umpire, he was involved in 2 very noteworthy arguments. Michael Jordan, ring a bell?
Getting into it down there in Birmingham, huh? First pitch swing for Zach Geloff. That ball carrying out towards left field, and see you later. The Zach attack in full force here in Toronto. A 2-run homer and a 5-0 lead.
Well, and Chris Bassitt ambushed by Zach Geloff and getting absolutely pummeled right now by the Athletics. 6 hitters, 5 of them have reached base. And the 5 that have reached have scored. Zach Geloff liftoff. Geloff me ball.
Number 15 on the year for Zach Geloff. Had a couple ribbies. He's at 39 of those. That's a great look right there. A smile from Zach Geloff. He's been working on that offense. He's been feeling really productive behind the scenes. We saw some of that come out of the homestand. Now translating here on the road. Here's the 1-1 to Kyle McCann, and that's a called strike.
Well, whether it's translating or transitioning right now, Chris Bassitt, I think mentally has to transition from trying to go out there and dominate a lineup. That's probably the game plan he had, to right now just getting his team at least 5 innings worth of work. 5 runs scored for the A's in this first inning, the biggest run outburst in the first inning all season.
They have scored more runs here in the first inning than they have in their last 3 games combined. JP Sears looking on like, oh, they're run support. All right, fellas.
That's right.
All right. A pitch for you today. Here's the full count, and McCann misses. So second strikeout for Bassitt as McCann whiffed on the curveball. 2 gone.
Well, and even with an assortment of different pitches, that curveball, I think, is a pitch that we have seen Chris Bassitt use in the past, not only as a pitch he can get ahead with, he can put you away with, but really a velocity separator as well.
That'll bring up Daz Cameron, hitting the 8th hole today. Well, Dallas, all of the runs here this series have been scored via the home run. We know this team does that 51% of the time, but they are 100% of runs scored right now with the homer here in Toronto.
Well, the best part about that, Jenny, is you've had some folks on base when that's happened.
And Daz Cameron with the foul ball. I jumped the gun. The first run did not score via the home run. My math is a little dicey north of the border. Very different.
You're
than
probably still
other
working
places.
out the, yeah, you're working out the conversion. That's fair.
Yeah, the conversion rate wasn't quite there. That's it. 6 of the 7 runs via the home run. Nice to have a couple here in the first inning.
Well, interesting. Well, I may have heard a little contact there. And that is not what you want to have happen if you're the Jays. Last thing you want is early inning phone calls down to the bullpen.
bullpen that ranks dead last in the American League when it comes to ERA. And the full count. Daz Cameron to left field, and that ball is going to hit off the wall. Daz Cameron heading for second. Here comes the throw, slide in, and a double here with 2 outs for Daz.
The boys just continue to bang. Great at bat by Daz, fighting some stuff off the other way. Got the mistake he was waiting for. And almost left the building. There's that hanging bender. Thing just gets walloped. Line drive off the wall. Schneider trying to play the carom, seeing if he can't get Daz at second. Right now, Chris Bassitt. Maybe a lot of strikes, Jenny, but there are a lot of hittable strikes. Just up in the strike zone right now, and I got to believe that that's the message here is, hey, we understand it's clearly not your best in terms of command, but let's see if we can get out of this and maybe reset for that second inning.
You see Ryan Yarborough starting to warm up. Might be a long day for that Blue Jays pin. 9th hitter for Chris Bassitt to face here in the first inning is going to be Max Schumann. His batting average at .249 now. He's gone on base 3 times in the series. A hit, a walk, and a hit by pitch.
Well, Jenny, a 2-out knock here from Max Schumann to drive in Daz Cameron, I think would really drive the stake even further.
Pitch outside to begin.
And Bassitt just not much command right now.
Two 2-0 now.
And it's been that sinker that Chris Bassitt has not been able to pin down. It's missed glove side. He's missed arm side. Evident by that pitch sailing in on Schumann. Drilled Brownie. A little cutter.
Now 3-0.
You know, and that's the problem right there. Bassitt's asking, is that down? Is it out?
See Lawrence Butler back on deck. Not much time to waste. There's a called strike. First pitch today was at 1:40. 15 minutes into the top of the first here. A chance to roll over the lineup already. Swing and a miss from Schumann, and he'll be in a full count.
Well, that's the third full count in a row for Chris Bassitt.
Schumann will take his time out. 33 pitches for Bassitt.
Well, and I love it because you can see Chris Bassitt just trying to collect himself, taking every opportunity at downtime to see if he can't find that place mentally where he's able to lock back in and compete.
And the payoff pitch is fouled.
And it has been more strikes than balls this inning. Maybe not by much, but unfortunately, not many of those strikes have made their way to Alejandro Kirk. They've found the seats. They found the wall. Everywhere but a defender, it feels like.
Here's the 3-2, and that's outside. So Schumann will head down to first. Back to the top of the order with 2 on for Lawrence Butler.
Well, this is not a fun place to be if you're Mr. Schneider. Last thing you want to go out and do is grab one of your horses before he's able to complete the first inning. You want to give him an opportunity to see if he can't, as I mentioned, get through this and maybe reset.
So was that conversation out in the bullpen more so pointing to, if they don't get Lawrence Butler out, you're coming in?
Yep.
Kind of a last-ditch effort here for Chris Bassett. A called strike. That's the curveball. Of course, Butler began this hit parade, a double to lead things off. He'd score on an error. And Brent Rooker reached base right behind him on an infield single. The 1-1, and that's going to find a hole. Daz Cameron coming around third. He's getting waved home, and the A's will add another. Lawrence Butler with an RBI single. It is 6-0.
The Law Dog, just a phenomenal job of taking what's being given to him right here. You want to pick up another 2-out knock. Bassett tried to slow him down with that curveball, the pitch previous, and then here's the little cutter that catches entirely too much of the plate. Lawrence Butler just cutting it in half.
No signs of John Schneider coming out. So with Lawrence Butler on first, Schumann at second, it's Brent Rooker in a called strike.
Bassett set to deliver his 40th pitch here in just the first inning.
So 40 pitches, Dallas, 23 for strikes. Not the ratio you're looking for, and especially not the ratio you're looking for in the very first inning of a ball game. Brent Rooker to left field, and this is going to be a fly ball for Davis Schneider. The inning over, but the A's have arrived. A 6-0 lead for J.P. Sears coming up. Today, Dalton Varsho behind him. Guerrero Jr. on the 22-game hit streak as the DH. Kirk cleaning up. Clement behind him. Horwich, Schneider, Jimenez, and De Los Santos. First pitch from J.P. Sears. He had a long time to wait before he got on the mound today. A little over 21 minutes.
And Jenny, I think that is something that often goes overlooked when that first half inning is extended. And it's a hurdle that as a starting pitcher you don't encounter often, but it is something you absolutely need to be prepared for. You have to be able to handle 15-20 extra minutes worth of downtime after your warm-ups.
There's an internal clock that goes with those warm-ups, right? To have your body ready at the exact kind of moment or area of moment that you could be out there.
Well, everything is timed, your routine. I mean, it's really down to the minute.
Here's the 2-1 to Springer, and a called strike. Just got the inside edge. 2-2.
A changeup. A little life coming back. George Springer, not typically where you expect that changeup, up and in.
And a swing and a miss. Got him to chase. Springer goes down, and 1K for Sears.
J.P. Sears taking care of business against George Springer, first at bat, first punch out of the game for JP. 24 start for the left-hander. And Jenny, we have talked about what JP Sears has gone through as a pitcher, the evolution in pitch usage. I think the introduction of different pitches throughout his career, trusting those pitches. That pitch right there, the sweeping slider, a pitch we'll get into throughout his outing, but a pitch that I think has really served him well, and it's something that he has learned to pitch with in different ways.
And a called strike there, 1-1 against Dalton Varsho. Varsho 0 for 3 against Sears.
And that pitch right there, the sinker, we watched Mitch Spence deploy it very selectively, but I think in great spots. Served him very well.
Little flare out towards shallow left. Toro's going to catch it. A little snow cone in foul territory. Good hustle by the third baseman today getting out there.
Well, and you can see Toro sizing that thing up the whole way. What he didn't want to do was end up overrunning it. And I think you see guys, you see Toro kind of checking his spot, seeing where he's at, the flight of the ball. Coming off the bat of the lefty Varsho, that ball's going to start working its way back slowly but surely.
I love the fan reaction right here. You had some big fans. They're like, wow.
Oh, they're pumped. Nice catch.
He's Canadian. I think it's okay, right?
Well, that's,
you cheer for him.
That's what they're loving on. Fellow countryman making a great play right in front of him. How about Vlad showing the bunt? Anybody watching?
And a swing and a miss, 0-2.
I think as an infield, if you see Vlad turning square the way he's going right now, you say, go ahead, have at it.
Let's take a look at the defense behind JP Sears today. You saw Toro at the hot corner, Max Schumann at shortstop, Zach Geloff at second, Seth Brown at first base, Kyle McCann doing the catching in the outfield, featuring Daz Cameron, JJ Bleday, and Lawrence Butler today from left to right. Back to it against Guerrero Jr., 0-2. That one hit hard, a one bouncer towards Schumann, dropped to his knee, comes up and throws out Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 3 up, 3 down for JP Sears, who has a 6-0 lead after one. This morning in basketball, leaving the home country in France. How about that? Men's and women's coming home with gold on the hardwood.
That's got to be a tough couple days.
Oof.
If you're on the losing side of that. Ouch.
He's on the winning side here in Canada, 6-0 against Toronto. Chris Bassett continuing to pitch, 41 pitches for him in that first inning. Dallas have featured 11 ace hitters, 6 hits, 4 of those for extra bases, 2 homers, and a 6 spot for JP Sears.
Well, and if I know Chris Bassett, he walked into that dugout and said, yeah, no, I'm well aware of what's going on here. Keep that bullpen quiet. Let me go out there and do whatever I can to get outs.
Well, right there was throwing 4 straight balls to JJ Bleday.
He's going to ask for a new baseball, but it's a guy who wants to be able to go out on his shield and give everything he has every 5th day. And right now, it's going to take a lot for him to get back in this and get through 5 innings, if that is indeed his plan.
Seth Brown swings at the first pitch, pops this up to left field, and Davis Schneider all alone to catch.
Well, maybe Seth Brown just coming back, trying to take advantage of a guy in Chris Bassett who's struggling to throw strikes early. Got one, figured he might be able to jump on it. See if Toro aggressive or if he decides to try to continue to wait Chris Bassett out.
Struck out looking on the sinker back in the first inning. Yesterday, Toro came off the bench and grounded into a double play. He's had an opportunity to tack on in the 9th. They had 2 on with 1 out. Missing there. Eric Martin's making a nice little play.
Go to work, E.
All right. Emar gets out and he works with his infielders every single day. He's keeping his hands quick and fresh too.
He's working that ladder daily. Might be a little osmosis going on.
There you go. Here's the 0-2 to Toro. That's high, and Kirk's going to throw down to first. The throw was high, but Bleday was back in time either way. Just keeping JJ honest. Still not a stolen base on the season for JJ. 2 attempts to date.
Well, Chris Bassett, a guy, as he goes to that slide step, maybe takes a little while to get down the hill. But I think right now you're just trying to see if he can't make another mistake to Toro.
There's the pitch. It's lifted up towards right field. George Springer jogging in, and the catch made.
Well, Chris Bassett right now starting to get a little better feel for the curveball. I think after some bad swings that he's seen from Toro here, it's instilled a little confidence for him in that pitch.
We'll see where his confidence goes with Zach Geloff coming up to bat. One of the 2 home runs he's allowed on the day. Geloff with 15 homers now on the season. And JJ's going to take off. Saw a good opportunity, and he gets in there but called out. Alejandro Kirk, one of the best at throwing runners out, and he shows it right there. Bleday caught stealing, ends the inning.
Friday night tickets are available at athletics.com/value.
Couple A's fans here in Toronto taking in the sights, enjoying a nice afternoon of baseball, of indoor baseball. Roof is closed here at Rogers Center. It was open for the night games, or I should say the night game Friday, the late afternoon start yesterday. So a different look.
Yeah, a little precipitation this morning.
Pitch to Kirk on the ground to Schumann, and 1 out. Well, Dallas, the Blue Jays right now have not had a hit in their last 26 at-bats. He's working on 10 consecutive scoreless innings against them. 1-0 shutout yesterday. First time ever the Athletics have won a game against the Blue Jays here in Toronto with a 1-0 score.
Well, that was all that man right there, Osvaldo Bido, would need yesterday. The slider performed really well. I think Bido, much like we have talked about with Joey Estes, just getting the confidence to attack in the strike zone. I think we saw the adjustments pay off. Just 1 walk from the right-hander yesterday.
There's the 1-1 from Sears, and that's in there. Sweeper or called strike against Ernie Clement. Yeah, you kept talking about Osvaldo Bido being in total command. Those 2 hits that he gave up happened in the first and second. And the A's in general, bullpen included, did not allow a runner to get to second yesterday. So good to see Bido continue to grab a hold of that starting spot. Of course, Mitch Spence led off this road trip, did a nice job pitching into the 6th on Friday night. Clement popped up. Seth Brown into foul territory, and the catch.
Well, this is the outing for Bideau yesterday afternoon. Here's a little slider up top, another little cutter up top. Just did a great job, Jenny, of being able to command to both sides of the plate. It's one thing to have a pitch working, and then it's another to be able to move that pitch around the zone with confidence for strikes, for balls. That's what the A's starting staff has done over their last 10.
Pretty impressive. It's a rotation of 10 starts that began with J.P. Sears on July 30th at San Francisco, where he had 7 innings pitched and 9 strikeouts. Now with 2 outs here in the second, facing Spencer Horwitz. Here's the 1-0.
Well, Jenny, we talked to JP after his outing against the White Sox, and we just sort of asked him, you know, what it means and how important it is to be able to have this friendly competition going on that we often talk about with starting rotations and bullpens. Frankly, one guy performs, hands you the baseball, you want to do just a bit better. You know, it's not about any one guy on this staff being a leader per se. I think it's about each and every guy taking ownership of the opportunities that they've had and really doing everything they can to support themselves.
There's the 1-2. What a valuable point, because you looked at the beginning of the season and you thought, wow, you get Ross Stripling, you get Alex Wood, this kind of just resume of experience coming in. Add to Paul Blackburn, who was kind of the leader of this staff. And now really the 3 of those guys haven't been involved with what this current group of starters has been doing. Of course, Stripling coming off the IL. Alex Wood on the IL, not going to be able to play this season. And Paul Blackburn, we might see next week in New York.
And you know, Jenny, sometimes that's all you need is a guy like J.P. Sears, who might not quite be ready to be thrust into that big leadership role. You're still trying to figure things out in your own right.
And now he's a full count against Horwitz.
So when you do have a couple guys like Woody and Strip join, and you know what Paul Blackburn is capable of, I think it probably alleviated some of that pressure and the stress of having to be that dude and let JP really dive into who he wants to become.
Full count on the ground, and Seth Brown will take the roller and step on the bag. 6 have come to the plate through 2 innings, and J.P. Sears retiring all of them. 6-0 A's after.
As our A's Community Fund founding partners, Chevron and Kaiser Permanente are committed to improving the quality of life in the East Bay through educational programs, youth sports initiatives, and volunteer efforts. For more information on our impact, visit athletics.com/community.
Zach Geloff back in the batter's box. He's facing Chris Bassett when J.J. Bleday was caught stealing in the second. A reset button here for a second plate appearance of the day. The first one went well. 2-run homer for Gelly. Now an 0-2 count.
And as I thought, Chris Bassett going to probably start to lean on that curveball.
Well, when you have 8 or 9 pitches, you have to figure something's got to give, right? Something has to be working out for you. That's what the whole first inning trying to figure that out. A bouncer to short, and Clement over to Horwitz, 1 down.
Well, that's the thing. The scoreboard makes it feel like it might be too little too late. But that can't be the thought that's in your mind right now if you're Chris Bassett. It's just got to be about trying to continue to get outs however you can.
Pitch to McCann in there for a strike. Starts with a changeup, and for McCann, this is just his 3rd appearance, Dallas, in the last 14 games. I know we've had different conversations around the backup catcher here, being able to figure out, but how hard is it to simulate or kind of get that work in terms of game prep and getting your offense in?
Well, you have to take advantage of any chance you might have to see live pitching, whether that's standing in for guys who are rehabbing, some sim games. You know, at times if there's guys in the bullpen that have gone through a spell where they haven't seen game action, you might have them face a hitter or two, and that could very well be a chance for Mac not only to catch those outings, but also take an at bat in those outings. So just any way you can stay fresh on top of the work that he puts in constantly with Marcus Jensen. You know, I was actually out with Mac and Marcus and Ramon yesterday while Mac was in the cage working on his throwing, just set up, receiving, throwing lanes, just the little stuff that you have to stay on top of to stay sharp. So when your number gets called, you can perform.
And that's it. As a backup catcher, you never know when that moment might be, not just to get into the starting lineup, but for Mac and the way he'd been hitting, to come off the bench as a pinch hitter. And then you never know, obviously, when you might have to enter the game for, God forbid, an injury or something. And a full count now against Bassett.
Well, it was a big curveball that got Kyle McCann their first matchup.
Here's the pitch. And the foul tip. McCann goes down. 3 strikeouts for Chris Bassett.
Well, that sinker starts on the inside part of the plate, works back over just a bit. You can see Mac just on top of it. Fouled it off into the glove of Kirk.
We'll bring up Daz Cameron with 2 outs. Daz got in on the action in the big first inning for the A's. Had a double and scored a run. On the ground, but foul. Here's the 0-2 and a swing and a miss. So the sweeper gets Cameron. That's back-to-back strikeouts for Bassett to end the top of the 3rd. He's retired the last 5 he's faced.
Regardless of the fact that it may look like it's already been chewed.
Delicious nonetheless.
Doesn't matter, tastes just as good. Probably tastes good for the first fella too.
Oh my goodness. Really glad I've already finished that and it's not still sitting here. Johnny Dasco coming up with our lunch today. Hand delivered. JP Sears 1-1.
Yeah, Dosky fell victim to the conversion rate as well. He was really excited to go get lunch for everybody. Went out there, unfortunately, he only came back with 2. That's because the price may have snuck up on him.
Sure, Canadian dollars versus US dollars.
He was not able to bring back all 3 hot dogs. So I enjoyed mine, you enjoyed yours.
Great. Thanks, Johnny.
And he had to wait a little to get his own.
What a good friend. That's
it. What a sweetheart. Putting the team before himself.
That's right. Swing and a miss for David Schneider. 2-2.
That's a tradition of ours, something that we've done. Can't come to the Rogers Center, not go outside and get a dog or a sausage.
And a swing and a miss. 4-seamer. And strikeout 2 for Sears.
JP sizzling at the top. 93 arm side. Not sure if he was going to get the call if Schneider didn't offer, but nonetheless, JP able to execute.
Both strikeouts off that 4-seamer today.
Well, it's just a byproduct of throwing strikes right now for JP Sears. Everything's competitive, stuff's close.
Called strike to Jimenez, 1-1. That's the thing that you're seeing with some of JP's stuff. He has a 26% whiff rate against that 4-seamer, but he has 20% or greater against 3 other pitches as well in the sweeper, the change, and the slider. Bouncer to Geloff. 2 gone. Here's the big difference, Dallas, and what has made this difference when you look at the last 6 and that ERA below 3.
Well, I think initially you can go all the way down to the bottom and see that JP Sears has done a much better job of keeping the ball in the ballpark here. But I think you start to round some of those numbers up. You think about JP being able, again, just to stay competitive. I think we have seen at times, you know, with everybody in this rotation, you start to lose command of stuff, and I think primarily some of the secondary offerings, and that's when the fastball gets picked out, it gets hunted, and there's damage. But Jenny, I think for JP Sears, learning how to pitch with the slider has been something that has really helped the progression for this fellow, because it was a pitch, you know, last year, swing and miss, maybe some damage.
Grounder to Toro. Love it up top, and 3 up, 3 down. A nice start for JP Sears through 3 innings of work. Face 9, and they've all gone down. Nothing after 3 innings. We move to the top of the 4th here in Toronto. You just saw some images of Chris Bassett, the former Athletic, on the mound today for the Blue Jays. Of course, he faced Oakland back at the Coliseum, went 8 innings in June, and after that 8th inning, he scooped up some dirt from the mound, and his explanation after, I may never see this place again.
That's
Special place for him, and he wanted to make sure that he kept a little bit of it.
And Jenny, that's been a common theme with some players who have worn the Oakland Athletics uniform. Folks that have come in and spent what they feel could be the last time at the ballpark, and they want to take something home. You know, they leave with a lot of memories, and a lot of good memories and great relationships. But maybe just having something tangible to be able to hold on to, literally.
Close pitch that Schumann laid off of, 1-2. You can see Chris Bassett shaking his head. He thought he had a called 3rd strike there.
Again, for Bass, the way the outing has gone, he hasn't done much to earn the benefit of the doubt. On the flip side, JP Sears, a guy who has been in and around the zone all 4 innings.
To right field, and Springer with the catch. So 1 gone here, back to the top of the order, and here's a look at that resume for Chris Bassett that began in 2015 with Oakland, lasting to 2021. All-Star appearance, of course, in 2021. It's 27 starts, 12 wins. Acquired by the White Sox, who was originally drafted 16th round. Those are the impressive stories that you never know, kind of those late picks, what they're going to make of themselves, especially on a pitcher's front.
Well, as soon as you get to the professional ranks, it's all about getting outs. I mean, very little has to do with what round you were selected in. Now, obviously, there's financial compensation and that commitment that I think earns you some opportunities early in the onset of your professional career. But from there, it's all about producing. What have you done for me today?
3-0 now for Lawrence Butler. Bassett, of course, was traded from Oakland to the New York Mets, spent 1 season there, and then signed as a free agent with Toronto before the 2023 season. Had a career high of wins last year, 16 of those. And Lawrence Butler on the ground. It's going to get past a diving De Los Santos, who was shaded over in the shortstop position. And 3 for 3 today for Lawrence Butler. Just leading things off, getting on base, and he's doing it today for Brent Rooker right behind him. It's time now for our Coors Light beating the pressure. Brent Rooker loves a good day game. Just remind him the sun is on the other side of this roof that we have going on here in Toronto. A .344 batting average during day games, 17 homers. 17 of his 29 home runs have come during the day, 52 RBI, and that OPS, 1159. It's just the second time that we've seen him hit in the 2-hole.
I figure with the way he's swung the bat all season long, and J.J. Bleday and his propensity for the extra base hit, you get Rooker on base, Bleday hits a double, 1-0 early.
Lawrence Butler takes off, a swing and a miss from Rooker. The throw down from Kirkin safe. Butler with his 10th stolen base.
And another good throw from Alejandro Kirk back there, but Lawrence Butler, good jump. See Law, he's got that left hand in on the backside of the bag. And you see there, if they were able to hold the tag, they may have had an opportunity to take a second look at that.
Lawrence Butler a perfect 10 for 10 this season in stolen base attempts. Rooker a swing and a miss. And that'll be the first out here in the 4th inning. Second out in the 4th inning.
And wouldn't you know it, it's the curveball that Chris Bassett has been able to go to that has bought him some more innings worth of work here. Just a 73-mile-an-hour bender, down and out.
J.J. Bleday swings at the first pitch. It hits the base and hops over Spencer Horwitz. Jogging home will be Lawrence Butler, and adding to the score, 7-0 Oakland.
Well, just when you thought you were starting to get things bouncing your way, if you're Chris Bassett, not so much. This ball's going to find that big old pizza box down there. Oh no, Jenny, it actually just took a little bit of a squirm off the dirt there. You see some English on the baseball, kicked up off the dirt.
Much better angle on the other side. That's never fun when it's your home turf for the defense and that happens.
No, it's tough. I mean, and the angle we have from up here looked like that ball was just over the bag, but a great shot down the line showed us otherwise.
(2-0) for Seth Brown as we take another look at it.
I mean, watch this. Off the grass, it starts to kick, and then wham, that big old pop-up. Horwitz never had a chance. He might have an appointment with the dentist tomorrow if he was in front of it.
Goes foul. So it's an opportunity to congratulate Seth Brown. The Brown family welcoming a brand new addition. We love a new baby. Barrett Brown, born August 7th. Congratulations to Brittany and Seth and big brother Cannon. Everyone's doing great back at home, and nice that Seth could have a couple games off to enjoy some time. As a family of 4, he joined the team yesterday. And you know what we're looking for, Dallas?
Dad strength.
We are looking for it. Came a little late for Darryl Hernandez the other day, but still in the window. So he got his first major league home run on Friday night, a couple weeks after his baby was born. We're going to have to get some sort of statistical verification.
Oh, it's real.
But it just seems like every time a guy comes off the paternity list on the offensive side, there is a home run to be had. Seth Brown hits one hard to center field, and it's in the glove of Dalton Varsho. So the threat ends in the fourth. Another run added.
Good, guys. It's time now for our Hankook driving moment. Last night, Mason Miller, pedal to the metal. He was cruising on the Autobahn, and everybody else stuck in a 5-mile-an-hour zone. Nothing but gas from Mason Miller. He'd punch out everybody he faced. Last 17 games, that A's bullpen has been dialed. 2.73 ERA over the course of the season, Jenny. Just a hair over 3.5 at 3.59.
What a bright spot for Mark Kotsay to be able to rely on. Those guys in the late innings, especially when you're playing a lot of close ball games. It seems to be the case for the Oakland A's as of late. 7 of the last 14 have been decided by 1 run, and they were on the winning end of that yesterday in a 1-0 game. Much bigger cushion here today. It's the 0-1 to George Springer, and that's out of the zone. George Springer's seen a lot of the Oakland A's in his career. 121st game facing the green and gold. There's a bouncer to Toro, and his momentum will take him right towards first base. One gone. Well, Dallas, the game plan has been some good fastballs. A little change-up sinker behind that. Not as much of the slider sweeper that we've seen.
He's done a great job of keeping them on the ground.
It's kind of the evolution Mark Kotsay was alluding to before the game with some of the beat writers, as that's fouled from Dalton Varsho. Of just when they acquired him from the Yankees, it was a lot more about the power pitching, trying to get the strikeouts, and it's evolved by adding these pitches, and again, to your point, learning to pitch more than throw and getting outs and letting your defense work for you when the ball's on the ground. That's hit hard towards right field, and the ball is going to leave. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays had been shut out against the Oakland A's for the last 12 innings. And a solo home run from Dalton Varsho changes that. It's 7-1.
Well, and Jenny, just as we're starting to talk about that sweeping slider, it's a pitch that has really served him well against the left-handers. Unfortunately, here Varsho catches one up in the zone. I think he identified it out of the hand. Like that was off the camera well.
Wow, what a look. Right behind him, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to right field, but it's going to go down as a routine fly ball as Lawrence Butler makes the catch. 2 gone.
Yeah, but Jenny, even after that home run there from Varsho on the long ball, or excuse me, on the slider, you go back to last year, and the batting average against the slider, just 198. However, the slug, 547. Expected slug last year, 460, 10 home runs. And what's happened this year is there's been a reduction in that power, and this is against right-handers. Right-handers this year slugging just 400 against the pitch. Now we have seen the average increase against the sweeper, 263. In play a little more, not quite the damage though. And so what's that tell you? I think it tells us that he's getting a little more comfortable being able to pitch with the sweeper and get contact when he needs to, weak contact when he needs to, not getting the swing and miss against the righties that he once was. But if he's able to do that right there, throw it to get himself back in the count, that's what's helped him keep these opposing lineups off balance.
Here's the 1-2 to Kirk, and a swing and a miss. Got him up top, and that's how the inning will end. Dalton Varsho with a solo home run to get the Jays on the board.
Join us for another Alumni Sunday with Tyson Ross, Mark Ellis, and Stephen Piscotty. They'll be signing autographs starting at 11:35 a.m. in the Eastside Club. That's a week from today, fans. Remember, a game ticket is required for entry, so get your tickets at athletics.com/Alumni Sundays.
Another fun Sunday at the Coliseum on deck here in the 2024 season. Back here in Toronto, a 7-1 lead, top of the 5th. And Chris Bassett out of the game. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts.
It's going to be left-hander Ryan Yarbrough on for the Jays now.
Toro swing through the first pitch, a bouncer to short, and Clement across the diamond.
Jenny, sometimes it's just that easy, and if you're Chris Bassett, who is done after 4, 8 hits scattered about, 7 earned runs tacked on, couple walks, 5 punch-outs, you just watch Yarbrough go out there, throw one pitch, about 89 miles an hour, get a weak ground ball. And you're thinking, well, why couldn't I do that? Why didn't that happen for me? And as we said, unfortunately, it's just a matter of command, and I think early on in A's lineup that was able to jump all over and capitalize on some early mistakes.
Just felt like time was about to give in to Chris Bassett too against the Oakland A's. He had such an amazing record through 5 starts coming in today, a 2-0 record, a 2.31 ERA. Started to look at those numbers before and go, is that going to change? Well, today was that day in the very first inning. 11 batters face Zach Geloff to right field, and that's going to get over the head of Springer. It'll bounce off the wall, and Zach Geloff running into second with the double. Couple extra base hits, the homer, the double. Geloff is back.
Well, it's a great approach from Zach here. You can tell he's just looking for something out over the plate. Not terribly worried about getting beat in by Yarbrough, so that's able to set the sights up and out. And he got a pitch the other way that he drove, turned George Springer around. He sees the ball down off the wall.
That brings up Kyle McCann with 1 out and a runner in scoring position. McCann just on the line. Foul up the first base side.
And Mac looking to make it 4 for 6 with runners in scoring position this afternoon for the green and gold. There's the distribution of offense from Zach Geloff. Hits by direction.
Dallas, we were just talking on Friday night about how it was game 162 for Geloff in his career, now 164 games under his belt. But you look at that kind of full season, spread out the numbers, get the big body of work. And I know sometimes you got to zero in at certain points. It's inside. The ups and downs. You go last year, okay, first year in the big leagues, how do you adjust? This year, big expectations, right? Let's not forget. Zach Geloff was representing the Oakland A's in the offseason when it came to publications, reading about the team at spring training. Everyone talked to Zach Geloff. This was going to be his team. He's the future. Well, whether you acknowledge it or not, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. And we saw that show up defensively for Zach early in the season with the Airs. We saw some offense early. We saw a big lack of offense for Zach. The strikeouts are up. All these things. And now you're trying to totally readjust and mechanically work on some things in the middle of a season. That is never easy for a player. As McCann reaches for one towards center field, Varsho coming in, and he'll have the grab, 2 gone. But I guess for a player, and I know you weren't a position player per se, but you watched a lot of your teammates over the years. I think from an outsider's perspective, I see Zach Geloff look the same every single day, and I think your demeanor has to help in the process of, you know, kind of traveling those ups and downs.
And that's the benefit of having guys that you have been with through your minor league career, working your way into the big leagues together. They got a pretty good feel for who you are personality-wise, what makes you tick. So I don't think any of these guys are surprised by, you know, the steadfast effort from Zach Geloff. And I think that's one of the important attributes when you're looking for leadership in the room is, are guys able to separate their individual performance with the work that needs to be done daily? And you know, Jenny, we're talking about Alumni Sunday coming up. There's a fellow by the name of Mark Ellis who I'll be able to sit down with, one of my favorite teammates of all time, simply because of that. You didn't know if Ellie was 12 for 12 or 0 for 40. Didn't matter. And the work and the accountability that he brought to the table each and every day, just by example, that's the kind of ball player you want to be.
It's a long season. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and when you're consistent, it's probably the best attribute you can have in that clubhouse. Called strike to Daz Cameron off the curveball. 69-mile-an-hour curveball.
You see the way Daz has taken the last two pitches, that front foot leaning out over the plate.
Here's the 2-2 on the ground to the second baseman and Jimenez today. And that'll end the threat. Geloff left at second after he hit a double. Middle of 5, 7-1. MLBshop.com. Check out the latest selection of official jerseys, caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. Gear up with your athletics at MLBshop.com. It's a big head of Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I get to stare at a big head like that every day at home. I mean, in our home ballpark.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Bouncer to Sears, and he'll throw it over. Ernie Clement retired with another ground ball out.
And it's your big old head.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that one. I keep getting texts from friends who are in the broadcast booth, and they'll take a nice selfie by it. You know, with this large head of me stuck at the Coliseum. I'm sorry for those of you who have seen it. And every text I get, I say, can you take that down for me?
No, Jenny, the good news is we haven't seen a possum all year.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Spencer Horowitz with a called strike.
I don't know if it's my baseball cards down there on the floor or your big head that's keeping him away, but together.
Or maybe Chris Carey's scent that comes in. I don't know. Could be a combination. Horowitz on the ground to Geloff. And look at these ground ball outs, just piling them up.
Look, when you're staked to a 6+ run lead early before you ever take the mound, I think that can really alter your mindset. And what I mean is you're still out there attacking, but you now have just a vote of confidence really behind every single pitch that you may not have had simply because of the cushion.
He just keeps attacking. There's a changeup for a strike to Davis Schneider, and JP Sears really doing some great work here. 52 pitches in the 5th inning.
You know, I joke a lot about being able to just sort of challenge guys at the Coliseum based on the expansive territory that you have, especially in foul territory. But I think anytime you start to get a 4 or 5+ run lead, you feel really good about everything you're throwing up there.
One and two now.
You know, and credit to Kyle McCann on a pitch like that, elevated fastball up and out, still making it look really good, really close.
And a swing and a miss. JP Sears getting the strikeouts as well as the ground ball outs. 4 of them here today. 3 up, 3 down in the 5th. There they are. There's my friends. Hi, girls. 7. In Toronto, 7-1, top of the 6th. And Max Schumann will lead it off for the green and gold. It'll be Butler and Rooker to follow. Schumann's reach today, walked as part of the long 1st inning. That curveball coming in the high 60s. That's a bit of a difference from some other pitches you've seen today.
Yeah, a completely different lane, completely different speed limit with Yarbrough out there. But I think what's really nice, and if you're at home right now watching the ball game, you're watching a guy who is out there surviving based on his pitchability. You know, this has nothing to do with him overpowering the strike zone or overpowering his opponent. It has everything to do with his ability to be precise and to execute in the zone and just out of the strike zone intentionally.
Schumann has to get out of the way and kind of spins down into the ground. A 3-2 count and a timeout.
Let's see what Yarbrough decides to go with here.
Yarbrough came to Toronto in a deal that sent Kevin Kiermaier to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those two were former teammates, the Tampa Bay Rays. Those are always funny trades. And Schumann continues to fight.
Well, it's a very trying at bat, simply because you want to stay on the fastball, but you're telling yourself there's not much velocity that I have to contend with. But if I'm being slowed down to the tune of 66, 68 with those curveballs, you can understand how the separation of velocity starts to make that fastball look a little harder.
Just a 20-mile-an-hour difference there. It's kind of like your driving versus my driving, you know? There's the 3-2, and Max Schumann take a walk down to first. He's had some really good at-bats this series, seeing the baseball.
Well, it just feels like it's the same old from Max Schumann.
Speaking of good at-bats, good plate appearances, that brings up the leadoff hitter in Lawrence Butler. 3 for 3 today. Lawrence has scored 2 runs. He's stolen a base. And he's doing all of this on the anniversary of his major league debut. Came up with the Oakland A's for the very first time last year on August 11th. So happy debut anniversary to Law Dog, feeling real confident about where his game's at right now.
I'm pretty sure it was a double for his first knock, left center off the wall.
Yeah, came in game 2. Didn't have a hit in that very first game, but came back strong.
Well, he's 2 for 2 in the first inning.
Yeah, I'd say today he's like, I'm feeling pretty good about my work. Got it in, got out of the way. Now just keep adding.
Well, in Yarbrough, even with the score the way it is, Max Schumann standing over there at first base, I think he has a little bit of his attention. Yarbrough, a reader when it comes to picking over, seeing if he sees anything from Max Schumann to give it away.
Five times this year, Lawrence Butler has had a 3-hit game. We have not seen a 4-hit game in his young career.
Well, we got time.
Of course, the most fun I think we've had watching Lawrence do his thing was the 3-homer game at Philadelphia. There you go, Schumann taking off. The ground ball goes to Jimenez at second, 1 gone, but all works out to get Schumann over to second. First time Lawrence Butler's gone back to the dugout empty-handed, but in a way, Schumann taking off and almost acts as a sacrifice bunt, just one that you don't get the credit for.
You'll take 90 feet however you can get it.
Absolutely, especially with this guy coming up in Brent Rooker. Went on the pitch outside.
Well, this at bat has the potential to be very loud.
Home run yesterday gave him 17 road home runs. will say the homer landed on top of the padding, and umpires had to call a crew chief review. They ultimately decided, yes, that was a home run. Only a home run in 15 of 30 ballparks, but guess what?
In the right one.
We're in one of those 15. So they count all the same.
Well, it did just squeak out of here, and this is the definition of getting just enough of it. Little spinner from Rodriguez. Rooker was able to stay back, sneak it out.
It is a home run.
That's right. Gonzo.
That was the deciding factor yesterday. Rooker out towards left, and it's going to land and bounce off that corner. Schneider chasing over. Here comes another run, and an RBI double for Brent Rooker this time.
Jenny, just an at-bat tailor-made for Brent Rooker, a guy who has no velocity to beat him with, and maybe the deception just not quite there. But Brent Rooker gets a little changeup, stays down, and he does a better job of going down and staying on it. Hooks it into that left field line. Butler was able to make the read. Or excuse me, Schumann.
Brings up J.J. Bleday. And I think, Dallas, it shouldn't go overlooked. After you have a big first inning like that, it's easy one way or another. If you're the team that's down, sometimes your offense can take some empty at-bats. If you're the team that's up, you can kind of cruise till the end of the game. These guys are looking to get some knocks, and they're doing it in a position that they haven't had much success the last couple of weeks, and that's with runners in scoring position. 4 for 8 today now. And Rooker adding with, as you said, the clinic that he just put on.
Well, and the fact that, you know, all 4 hits with runners in scoring position this series have come today.
One and 2 now for Bleday. Bleday's reached every time he's been up. 2-run homer, a walk and a single. And that's going to find a hole out in left field. It's going to bounce in front of Schneider, and Rooker got caught in between. The throw to Kirk, and Rooker's going to have himself tagged out. Bleday wisely moving up to third. So in a strange way, the runner advancing, but unfortunately it comes at the cost of an out.
Yeah, and it looked like Rook maybe just a little slow around third base. That ball got out to Schneider quickly, who got rid of it with a strong throw in. See, it's a fastball shot the other way by JJ. But you'll see where Rooker is coming around your screen, and you can see Schneider has the ball about 3-4 steps before Rooker ever even gets to third base. An aggressive read there. But what you got to think is Brent Rooker, and for his effort to stay in the rundown long enough, J.J. Bleday wisely able to get over to third base.
It's almost as if he put his head down for just a second as Emar was wheeling him home, and then it stopped the motion. And as soon as he kind of caught up to make contact with the third base coach, he almost ended up having to pull the brakes, as confused to what to do. A swing and a miss for Seth Brown. Brown, one of those guys whose batting average during the day more favorable than the nighttime, a .270 hitter. Didn't feel good. Looks like the foul ball might have just caught his foot, so Brown Walking around, walking it off.
Well, you can appreciate the feel from Andy Fletcher, umpire behind the plate. Taking a walk, doing a little housekeeping, letting Brownie get the feeling back in those toes.
Here's the 2-2 from Ryan Yarborough, and that's high. Good at bat by Seth Brown, working back into it. And he got him to swing on the curveball. Well, one more run added for the
Ballpark on Sunday home games for free. That's right, completely free. You can root for your green and gold. Stay after to race around the bases on the same field as your favorite A's players. Get your tickets right now. Athletics.com/kidsfree.
Where was that dance party? I totally missed that here in the ballpark. Those kids were having a blast.
Getting it.
Bottom of the sixth, JP Sears is getting it. 56 pitches for him as he faces Leo Jimenez.
Well, Jenny, it was no-hit stuff for a while from JP Sears. Till that at bat against Varsho back in the fourth. He jumped ship, but JP Sears slicing and dicing. Jenny, if you remember, the Oakland Athletics, no strangers to no-hit efforts right here in the sixth.
Certainly. I think I know where you're heading here.
Well, we've got a fellow that we get to call a colleague and a friend that very familiar, not only as an opposing player, but as a Blue Jay himself.
On the ground, and Schumann will grab it off the bounce.
Well, it's time now for our Ford Play of the Day, brought to you by your California Ford dealer. And you know who it is. Stu. That's right. The first no-no at what was then the Sky Dome, now affectionately known as the Rogers Center. First one ever. Our man Stu, June 29th, 1990, up here in Toronto. And as many folks recall, Stu would not be able to enjoy his day alone. There was a fellow by the name of Fernando Valenzuela who would no-hit the Cincinnati Reds later that night, but 9 innings, 12 punchies, 115 pitches. It's like a bullpen for Stu. No problem.
No problem. No problem at all. Little did he know at that time he'd eventually become a Blue Jay himself just a couple years later.
And that would pay off.
Some special moments and memories in Toronto for Dave Stewart. On the ground to Toro, cutting off Schumann. And no play. De Los Santos gets on base, and you hear the cheers. That's his first major league hit.
Well, and Toro just going over and trying to get everything he can get to. Unfortunately, not able to come up with it cleanly. And you just wonder if he was going to have a shot at the play anyway. Max Schumann with that great throwing arm. Toro working his way across the diamond.
That one's hit towards Geloff. He'll flip it on to Schumann, over to Brown, and the double play. All rolled up to get JP Sears out of it. After 6, a nice 7-run lead for the...
You can buy one Giants ticket or a Yankee ticket. Come on back to the ballpark in August or September for only $5. This offer includes the bobblehead games, drone shows, really everything. Act fast and pick your pack today at athletics.com/pickyourpack.
Well, the offense so hungry to get back to the bat rack. JP Sears helping him out. He's faced just one above the minimum through the 6 innings that he's pitched. Toro leading off the top of the 7th here against Eric Swanson. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts.
Eric Swanson, just another part of this Jays bullpen that's trying to figure things out. Starting staff has had their fair share of struggles. Unfortunately, the bullpen for the Jays has not been able to alleviate any of that stress.
It's a bullpen we talked about that has an ERA over 5, worse than the American League, but they've given up 69 homers as well. Swing and a miss for Toro, and the strikeout to start the 7th. 1 gone. Well, it's been a 2 for 3 days so far for Zach Geloff coming up. Had his first road homer since July 14th at Philadelphia. You'll remember in that series. And back-to-back days of homers. Hit a grand slam off a position player.
Yeah.
Here you go.
It's always fun. Bases loaded. And you got a shortstop out there. I'll take that. Down 0-2 here quickly to Swanson. Jenny, you brought up grand slam. Believe it or not, I've got another fun fact for you here regarding the Athletics and the Rogers Center.
What do you got?
Well, believe it or not, the first grand slam right here at the Sky Dome, aka Rogers Center, was hit by one of my favorite backstops, if not my favorite backstop, Terry Steinbach.
All right.
July 16th, 1989. Pretty good year, 89.
Yeah. Ring season.
That's it.
Well, it's interesting today, Dallas, when you look at the Blue Jays and the Athletics and their history. 450th game all time against Toronto. This is the 150th game played here at Rogers Center. And the record, 74-75. So if they can get this win today, as that's lifted in the air towards shallow right field, charging in is Springer, and whoa, what an effort. Geloff will head into second. The ball dropped out of his glove, and Geloff will take another one.
An amazing effort from George Springer. And if you haven't taken notice, go ahead and look up in the top left corner of your television screen. The score is 8-1. We're in the 7th inning. Jays are not headed to the postseason, but George Springer cares not at all about any of that. You play the game a certain way. He only knows how to play the game one way, and that's as hard as he possibly can. Love the effort.
Great effort, but Zach Geloff, great offensive day. 3 for 4 with all 3 being extra base hits.
That's it, a couple doubles. That first inning long ball.
See if Kyle McCann can add to the runners in scoring position numbers today. So what I was saying is if they can pull off this win, they'll be 75-75 all time here at Rogers Center. There's only 2 other teams that have a win percentage of 500 or greater, and that's Boston and New York. So not an easy place to come in and play.
Well, this is a place, you know, that's something you got to remember is the Blue Jays are playing well. And look, Jenny, we've got 35,000 plus here this afternoon. And frankly, as I mentioned, it's 2 teams that not headed to October. But when this club is playing good baseball, you have a team that has the support, frankly, it feels like, of an entire nation. And that's very different than, you know, say one regional city.
It's such a great atmosphere, and it's so awesome that they can come and enjoy all the renovations, and they're so proud of all the renovations and wanting to, you know, show them off and be here at the ballpark. And it's hard. It's been hard for them. I mean, we talked about this. They traded away 8 players. You have 14 in return. It's very clear that, call it full rebuilding mode, but they have to start over somehow. Sky towards left, and Davis Schneider with the catch. 2 got. But that's the expectation of the fans here, is hanging banners. And really, Dallas, when you look since 2015, it's a team that's been to the postseason quite a lot, although they haven't been able to win in the postseason recently. You see those wild card series. John Schneider, 3rd year here as the manager. Lost in the wild card series his last 2 seasons.
Well, and that's, I think, what is sticking with folks is you're able to get to that first round. You want to get deeper. It's not about just getting to the postseason. It's about getting through the postseason.
Just ask the Minnesota Twins, right? I mean, their number was had by the New York Yankees, and finally, 23, they were able to get that first win in October, and they celebrated it. Oh, 2 to Daz Cameron, that's high, and the back check on Geloff. Not there. He kind of ducked, wasn't certain what was coming his way, and not quite sure if Jimenez knew that ball was coming his way.
Well, Kirk still hanging in there, trying to get Swanson that call on that slider.
Two is swinging a miss. Splitter got Cameron going down, and it leaves Geloff out at second. We'll stretch. 8-1 A's.
Full coverage cam. Well, we've got a lot of great sidelines in the ballpark for you folks at home. Get your glove. Heads up. Right in your lap. How we doing down there? Ah, no problem. That should buff out.
Nice little wax job. That'll do the trick.
Maybe fine.
Brings up Dalton Varsho, the lone run for the Jays, and what's this foul?
And look, you bust one of those lenses, Jenny, I mean, it'll set you back just a cool $250,000. No big deal.
That's it?
That's all.
Invoice going to Varsho's chair in the clubhouse, or?
Ooh, might need to take up a collection.
Pass the plate. It's interesting with that home run, because that's something Toronto has really struggled with in the 2024 season. It's something that, you know, when John Schneider got in here, they were really good at in 2021 before his first year. 262 homers, led Major League Baseball. Dropped a little the next year as this goes out to right, and a bouncer in front of Lawrence Butler. Varsho on again. But that home run total just has continued to decrease. Last year they were 16th in MLB in home runs, and now this year sitting at 28th with just 107 of them.
Well, Varsho for the second time this afternoon jumps all over a slider. First one left the building. This one stays in. Now he's got to deal with Vlad. Hitting .342 against southpaws, 6 long balls.
1 for 2 so far today with that hit streak on the line. It sits at 22 games. He's had 10 homers, 22 RBI over that course of time. This one on the ground to Schumann, and instead of a hit, The A's roll up the double play. JP Sears is still just faced one above the minimum now. You start to look at this. Double plays become your best friend.
Well, just 69 pitches so far, Jenny. It's been a nice outing for JP Sears. Able to roll up something tight there. Take care of Vlad Guerrero Jr. Looks like that hit streak is all but toast for the big fella.
Alejandro Kirk will watch a strike.
But Jenny, just, I mean, the work of Dominant is just special. 13 pitches that first inning, 14 the second, 11 in the third, 10 in the fourth, 7 in the fifth, 9 in the sixth. I mean, anytime you've got multiple innings worth of single pitch efforts, single number efforts. I mean, look at the fifth inning, look at the sixth inning, seventh inning here, 0-2. That's about as efficient as it gets.
It's been fun to watch JP work here this afternoon. 2-2 now for Kirk. JP's won 5 out of his last 6 games, and the last 2 he's gone 7 innings in each of them.
I don't think there's any question that JP is getting more and more comfortable with how he attacks.
Now he'll have a full count against Kirk.
Well, it feels like that's one of just maybe a handful of 3-ball counts for the left-hander.
JP Sears loses him. A walk issued with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Ernie Clement.
Well, Jenny, the frustrating part right now for JP Sears is you start to extend an inning in which you were on track again to be able to get through with just a single-digit amount of pitches. But now here, if you have aspirations of finishing this ball game, you have to take care of Clement.
See if he can't get that weak contact early. $11 ground ball outs today for JP Sears. Add the 4 strikeouts.
Good job by Kyle McCann again, dressing it up.
The 1-1, swing and a miss. One up high and fooled Clement. Clement's a tough one to strike out, just a 6.7% strikeout rate. That's right below Luis Arraez and right above Stephen Kwan, and we know that those two love to put the baseball in play.
Well, you put it in play, good things can happen.
Murray continuing to foul off pitches here.
Again, that pitch count still in really good shape. I think that bullpen probably going to start moving around a little.
Just saw Scott Emerson run down to the phone and call Dan Hubbs.
Well, Jenny, in an at-bat like this is where you typically would maybe see a guy step off, gather himself, and really try to finish the at-bat. But without the ability to do so, you just got to keep pumping and keep dialing it up.
And another foul ball.
You know, and this is where I think you would like to see maybe Kyle McCann, if you could just walk out, slow things down a bit, give your guy a bit of a breather. But JP right now looking to log 8 innings for the first time.
Michelle Otanez warming up. In play and out towards center field. JJ Bleday will glove it, and the inning over. JP Sears through 7 once again. He's done.
Authority of the Oakland Athletics. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
Wow, it's a little different weather today. It just looks a little overcast. That was snow on the ground for the very first game played in here in Toronto, Major League Baseball game. Back in 1977 at Exhibition Stadium, the White Sox were in town. Blue Jays ended up winning 9-5, but grounds crew got an early taste of hard work.
Yeah, 9-5 in a snowball fight.
Woof.
No, thank you.
Cleared off.
Absolutely not. Reminds me of old junior college days. Taking care of the field. Now, I didn't have to contend with much ice. But man.
Max Schumann, a 2-0 count. What an introduction to Major League Baseball for the Blue Jays. Just saying. Some stuff falls from the sky from time to time. There's elements, and hence why we might be playing with the dome on top of this game today.
Yep.
So Tommy Nance in relief. Schumann, take your base. He's done that 3 times today. Via a walk, he scored a run. And that is the hard work of packing your lunch pail every day when you're Max Schumann.
Well, Schu is not giving in. He's not going to give you a pitch. He's not going to give away an at-bat. That's what's made him such a valuable piece down there in this 9 spot.
342 on base percentage for him, and then you roll it over to this guy, the big dog, Lawrence Butler. The 3-hit afternoon. Bleday joining him in that category. Geloff joining him in that category. Can someone get to 4? Hit hard towards second. Jimenez over to shortstop and on to first. So Clement and Horowitz will complete the double play after a leadoff runner, 2 outs.
And you see what they love about Leo Jimenez here. Great footwork. Able to quickly turn, get it over to Clement, fired it over to first to finish off that double play effort. And the fact that you're confident in Leo's ability to move really anywhere around in the infield. You like him up the middle. Really smooth and slick fielding infielder.
Called strike for Brent Rooker here. I agree with you. You're almost surprised that you saw his name written in second base today after the great work we've seen on the left side of the diamond and what he can do at shortstop. But it gives an opportunity for Clement to get some playing time over there with De Los Santos in the game, a third baseman.
Well, he's got a quick first step, great reaction.
Swing and a miss for Rooker, and that'll do it. Goes down swinging, and it looks like J.P. Sears getting back to work. Gonna have to get that all shut up, ready to go. Back to action with J.P. Sears still pitching here in the bottom of the 8th. 84 pitches. He's been very efficient. Just faced 2 above the minimum, giving up a solo home run to Dalton Varsho. Now trying to get Horowitz to begin. Here's a look at it. An 8-1 lead for the Athletics. They scored most of those runs back in the first inning. 11 batters came up, 6 runs. How about the homers from Blade and Geloff in that mix, and a 3-hit day for Butler, Blade, and Geloff. But really, let's not overlook the star in this one, as J.P. Sears has been doing some work.
He sure has. Behind Horowitz here, 2-0. Jenny, you want to see him get ahead of these guys here, give himself a chance to finish this ball game. Unfortunately, the way things are going right now, JP's going to have to get some early contact within his next 2 hitters.
Saw some bullpen movement into that 7th inning there, but able to get through it, and pretty quiet. Looks like some guys might be getting up to start loosening up once again. And missing there, so a leadoff walk to Spencer Horowitz. Bring up Davis Schneider. See Scott Emerson, the pitching coach there on your left, Mark Kotze, Darren Bush, all discussing strategy of the inning. I think all of them would love their best to give it to JP. Be such a nice feather in your cap to get through 8. We've seen the double play help out a lot in this one.
You got a big one in the 6th inning, got a big one last inning. Got Vlad Guerrero to tap into 2.
1-on-1 now for Schneider. Struck out twice today. 2 of the 4 from J.P. Sears. Schneider at second base, playing second base on Friday night. He came in as a pinch hitter yesterday and now featured in the outfield. So they have a couple of those versatile pieces right now that John Schneider's trying to move around and work with. Again, John Schneider, Davis Schneider, no relation. He's putting it on the ground. It's just going foul. This one popped up and out of play.
Well, we've seen J.P. Sears, I think, do a really nice job of reading swings this afternoon. And even though I think we've started to see some of the velocity wane for J.P. Sears on the fastball, I think that's why we're maybe not seeing some of those quicker putaways in the at-bats. he's still done a really nice job of staying out of the middle of the strike zone. So even though you might not have that extra tick of velocity with you here in the later stages of your outing, still doing a really nice job of staying out of the hitting zone.
Here's the 2-2, and that's high. This was something he stayed away from early and often, and that was the deep counts. We've seen him creep in these later innings.
Well, and Jenny, I got to believe that JP understands that he was in a position to be able to finish the game potentially. And I think that's when you start to put a little extra pressure on yourself, really, in a game situation where it's not necessary.
That's the conversation Kate is having as he walks out right now. It looks like probably going to make a change at the bullpen, but he has yet to signal it.
Well, I think Mark Kate very well may give JP Sears the opportunity to talk him in. Guess not. I stand corrected. Mark Kate will not have that conversation. He's going to go to the bullpen, and a great outing by JP Sears. 7+. He'll leave the game with 2 on, nobody out.
But when it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service.
MLB Sports California is brought to you by Toyota. Class-leading MPG and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places. And by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for the Labor Day sales event or visit sleepworld.com.
Great offensive day for the Athletics. They're up 8-1 here in the bottom of the 8th. 2 runners on, nobody out. Michelle Otanez coming into the game, and what an effort from JP Sears.
JP Sears, 7 strong, just 3 hits allowed, and a model of efficiency really up until this last inning. JP was doing a dynamite job of not only getting weak contact, but the early weak contact.
Called strike to Leo Jimenez, and they'll begin the afternoon for Otanez out of the pen. Jimenez 0 for 2 today.
I think Otanez, Jenny, has been a really big part of what the bullpen has done here lately. And I think it's a guy who initially, when he showed up, maybe some command issues, but has done a fantastic job of adjusting.
And swing and a miss, yep.
And you have to love the velocity that he continues to pump. 97, 98. We see him touch 100 last night.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I hate to belabor the point, but anytime you lose an arm like Lucas Erceg and how important he is to a bullpen, I mean, he's saving ball games in Kansas City now for a postseason contender. How do you replace a guy like that? It's not easy. You need some guys to step up, and I think Tyler Ferguson and Michelle Otanez have done a really good job of that.
I'd agree. Michelle Otanez kind of came on the scene, had a really strange debut in San Diego where the lights went out on him. Got a couple of big punch outs his next outing. I think once he settled into his role, how he'd be used, doing a good job. Ball lands in the right field corner. De Los Santos taking off, and a stop sign at third for Schneider after Horowitz scored. First career RBI for De Los Santos, making his home debut for the Blue Jays. This is third career game, and that run belonging to the line of JP Sears.
Yeah, this is just a 2-seam fastball that stays hittable. Jimenez just shooting it down the line.
George Springer goes to left field. It's going to bounce in front of Dash Cameron, 2 more runs will score as De Los Santos is chasing down Schneider. An 8-4 game here, and you see JP Sears looking on, listening to PitchCom. It's an uncomfortable feeling when you left the game 8-1.
Well, it is. It's tough. You feel like you kept the offense at bay all afternoon. Unfortunately, little damage has ensued after the departure. George saying hello to the boys in the dugout.
For Schiller. Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Ow.
99 hitting Varsho.
Well, this, like it caught Varsho cleanly. You can hear the sound. Check this out. I mean, this is right. Oh, man, right on the outside of the knee.
Hit that kneecap or just right above it, either way.
Well, if you've ever bumped your knee on a chair
Ouch.
or the desk, or you know what he's feeling right now, and it does not feel good.
And then add 99 coming at you.
Right.
That chair sits still. That sits at 0.
Well, and Jenny, he's at first base, which is a long way away from home plate, which is where he'd eventually like to end up.
Well, this will bring up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his opportunity with a 22-game hit streak on the line. We're still testing Varsho.
And I think for good reason. If he's not able to scoot around the bags, you got to get somebody else in there. The way that Vlad has swung the bat, should he be able to find a gap, you can potentially bring yourself within 2 runs of this ball game, and then you'd have the tying run at the plate. So while right now Jay's down by 4, you think that run for Varsho doesn't mean much. That's not necessarily the case.
Emerson will take the time to come out and have a conversation with his pitcher after he just kind of stood out there on the mound for a bit. Did get a couple warm-up pitches in while Varsho was testing his knee, but make sure they know exactly how they want to pitch to Guerrero Jr. or do they want to pitch to Guerrero Jr.?
I think going to be the question, but Jenny, what you also don't want to do is bring the time run up.
Absolutely.
So you figure with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a guy who has already tapped into a double play once this afternoon. Obviously the guy you don't want to let hurt you, but you don't necessarily want to give the opposing team a chance to completely change the game with just one swing.
Strategy of the game late in the game here. 2 on, 1 out. Guerrero on the ground, and that chance for that double play. Schumann scoops it over to Geloff on to first, completed. Plan of attack worked. Michel Otanez gets Guerrero Jr. to ground out, and JP Sears likes what he sees after 8, still up by 4.
Steinbach, Miguel Tejada, and Dick Williams all entering the 2024 class. Get your tickets for this historic day at athletics.com/HOF.
Really looking forward to that ceremony on August 17th. Green and gold up by 4 here in the 9th. Looking to win a series in Toronto. JJ Bleday leads it off. Tommy Nance still in the game. Bleday, a 3-hit day. Also walked. He's reached base every time. 2 RBI off the 2-run homer in the first. JJ has been in a zone. We got to kind of highlight the beauty of July for Lawrence Butler and for Brent Rooker. Every single time they came up to bat, I feel like they were going to hit, and for Rooker do damage with a homer. But Bleday has been kind of on a very similar tear coming into August here. You go back the last 20 games. Well, entering today, the last 19, he's hitting .310. He's kind of that guy that shows up, and now you're expecting lots of good things when he's up to bat. A 7-game hit streak in there that was snapped on Tuesday.
Jenny, I think the unique relationship between Mark Kotsay and J.J. Bleday, his manager being a 17-year vet in Major League Baseball, playing an incredible center field. I think the vote of confidence that he's been given from his manager specifically has really helped JJ settle in and take ownership of the responsibility that comes along with being an everyday center fielder in the big leagues. I think he's taken advantage of being able to see left-handed pitching regularly.
On the full count, pops it up. Left side of the field, charging in De Los Santos, and one gone.
You see Tyler Ferguson in the forefront, and that's Big Mace in the back. A couple of guys have done a really nice job at the back end. Mason Miller, I mean, enough said, but Tyler Ferguson, another one of those names that I mentioned, along with Michelle Otanez.
Seth Brown to center field, and into the glove of Dalton Varsho. He's hit it there twice now.
Well, and you thought Varsho might have got a flat tire during his at bat, but that knee looks just fine.
Speaking of Mark Kotsay and center fielders, he was so complimentary the other day of just making sure he mentioned, I love the way that Dalton Varsho plays center field.
Well, he's so comfortable out there. You know, nothing ever really seems to speed up on him. He takes great routes, good first step.
One here for Toro. Toro's had a tough time getting on base, 0 for 4 today. This whole series 0 for 9. Want to get to the guy on deck. Zach Geloff has had himself quite a day as well. 3 hits, but all of them for extra bases. That's a career high for him. Here's the 1-2 from Nance. Toro fights it off.
Yeah, pretty nice for Geloff to continue to break out the way he has. You get 3 knocks and you don't have to stop at first. You like that?
Yeah. See that confidence growing in terms of the results happening. Homers over the last week here, 1 at home, 1 on the road. And Zach Geloff will have to go get his glove as Abraham Toro grounds out. Time to finish things off in Toronto. 8-4, and looks like Mason Miller coming in. Come out, not a save situation. He picked up his 17th save yesterday, but Dallas, you want to ensure your best possible chances of getting a W here.
And I don't think there's anybody else you turn to that gives you that kind of feeling, whether in this bullpen or across baseball. But when it's time for a W, it's Miller time.
Well, Miller has some history with the Blue Jays. His first career win against them. Look at this on June 7th. Day you'll remember striking out Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and ending it with Springer.
Well, just part of his introduction to the rest of the league.
Well, Day would walk off the game with a homer. That's how he ended up getting the victory. Here in this situation, just trying to ensure that J.P. Sears walks away with another victory. He's been real good at that. Looking for his 6th win in 7 starts for JP. He went 7+ today. In the air to right field. Lawrence Butler pauses. He'll take a few steps and 1 out as Alejandro Kirk will head back to the dugout.
Well, I just keep replaying the reaction from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over in my head from the at-bat last night and how that ended 103. Thanks for coming out. And you could see Vlad on the way back to the dugout just sort of, you know, grimace a bit like, ooh, wow, that was real. That was very real.
That was real. That was uncomfortable. That was nasty. He's gotten me a couple times now. I don't want to face him. Looks like Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s hit streak's going to end at 22. Going 0 for 4 today.
When I promise that's what those fellows down there at the corner of the dugout are talking about right now, is what that at bat was like, what his stuff is like overall.
Clement finding out right now. Heavy dose of sliders. Clement was on deck when he watched Horowitz make the final out last night. He witnessed Guerrero and Horowitz striking out. Lifted in the air. Shallow left as Cameron coming in. 2 gone. And that will bring up Spencer Horowitz looking for the final out. He was that last night against Mason Miller.
It looked like Mason opting to go with the tan glove. Typically used to seeing him in an all-black glove. A's looking to get out of town with a W on a Sunday.
This one on the ground, and Toro will make the final play as Seth Brown reaches up for the catch. An A's victory here in Toronto, a series win against the Blue Jays, and how about win number 50, Dallas? That matches the total from 2023, and they're doing it here on August 11th. Backwards hats and high fives, feeling fine north of the border.
Well, it's going to be a happy plane flight headed to New York, going to take on the Metropolitans. We'll see Paulie punch out the Big Apple, but it was JP Sears. A fantastic outing for the Southpaw today, and how about the outpouring of offense? Lawrence Butler 2 for 2 in the first inning. He scored a couple times. JJ Bleday, bang, bang with the long ball. Zach Geloff, a career day with 3 extra base hits. The offense was banging, Jenny.
Offense was on fire, and hopefully that continues as they head to New York. Off day tomorrow, and we'll see you Tuesday from the Big Apple. Enjoy the first series win in Toronto since May of 2018 as the Toyota A's postgame live starts right now.